you see it fly out of there? He's still smiling. He's like a hockey player out there.
Oh, man. Hey, welcome to Title 24, everybody, presented by NBC Sports. Little Daytona Supercross wrap up and download. Myself, Ricky Carmichael, Ryan Villopoto coming to you. Before we get going, thank our sponsors, Dunlop, Boxo, Guts, Quad Lock, and Cardo. RV and I, as you can see, especially if you're watching this, but if you're not, RV is in Tyler, Texas at Swan MX, and I am here at RC SX Amateur Race at Daytona. I'm glad to be here. Been doing it for a lot of years, and the track is killer, and the weather has been fantastic, and it's been a good event so far. So we're about to start main events here shortly, RV. So I'm excited for that. But before that happens, we're going to rip through this podcast. Daytona was epic from my point of view. Before we get the words from you, like I said in the opener, you're in Tyler with the boys, and tell us what's happening. How is it?
Yeah, man, it's awesome. We drove out here last week. Got here Thursday. Gage arrived Thursday night, and we rode Friday, Saturday, a little bit on Sunday yesterday. But no, it's been awesome. Jason and the crew here, the Mo's that own this facility in Tyler, do an amazing job, and the track is just, it's something special here. So glad to be here. They open their arms up like family. So it's rad to have them be able, doing that for us. And there's a group of us that showed up now, some friends from Arizona and in California.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good good time up until about Thursday, and then we'll head our way to Oak Hill.
Hey, what's Brax doing though? Like, since he's still recovering.
Brax, yep. So he's still at home with mom. Okay. He's going to fly in for spring a ding, so he could finish this week of school, and then so they'll fly in. He'll be out here for spring a ding all week. Since he's not riding, we didn't bring him out 2 weeks, a week early, essentially.
Okay, got it. Well, dude, I'm sure you watched the broadcast. Probably wasn't a surprise to you, but dude, Eli Tomac, and just how dominant he's been here at Daytona. He bags his 8th win, which is absolutely incredible. I have my thoughts on just how well he did and how the race went. But first and foremost, from your point of view, was there anything that you were surprised about with Eli? You want to talk about like what you saw from him, what you liked, what you didn't like, anything like that?
Yeah, no, Eli, Daytona seems to be obviously his house, right? Up until Saturday night, seven Daytona wins. Now he's got 8 Daytona wins, so the most, I believe, the most history there. I thought Hunter kept him honest. It wasn't a complete runaway.
Yeah.
Eli had everybody's number like usual at Daytona. I think the most impressive thing, people ask me who's going to win. I said, if you bet against Eli, you're an idiot. That Daytona. But what I see is we've talked about it a little bit before, is him gelling with the motorcycle and the team on multiple different conditions. As we're watching around the outside of Kenny here, just rips that outside line, carries a ton of speed into the finish line, and then just gets over this wall jump or that double, then the wall jump next very quickly. I just think the way he's been able to gel with the motorcycle on all different conditions this year, being that it's a new manufacturer, is pretty impressive. I think we have a 1-point gap in between those two right now, first and second. So hell of a race on our hands.
That's right. So if you guys haven't, check out boxousa.com for the Boxo breakdown. I had a couple questions for you, RV, as far as like Eli goes, getting his 8th win, like you just talked about. Why is it do you feel like he's always been so good here? Is it the soil? Is it the way the track is laid out? Why is he a step above everyone else, like from your point of view?
Well, I think number one, Daytona it takes a rider to ride out of the comfort zone a little bit, and also the track The rider's that riding style of the rider has to be a little more hanging it out. It's not a typical Supercross track where you're perfect.
Yeah.
It's more of like an outdoor track with some Supercross rhythms, in my opinion. So you got to be able to switch up lines quickly. Because as the track develops and breaks down very, very, very quickly there, and the different types of soil, the red clay in parts, and then the native Daytona sandy black dirt. But just watching Eli, outdoors and throughout the years, and also Daytona, he likes to ride that edge, and I think Daytona promotes and gives that ability for those riders that want to hang it out. They can hang it out at Daytona, and I think that's what's made him, so strong there over the last 8 years.
Yeah, especially, I would agree, especially the high speeds. He talked about it a little bit. Someone asked him, a couple people asked him a similar question, I think, post race, and he was just like, he said the soil is similar to how it is what he grew up on. Sorry, and he like loves blasting the berms, and I feel like, for me personally, I feel like that's one reason why he always does well here. He's not scared to be aggressive with the throttle, clutch, throttle, just getting everything out of that bike. Whereas regular Supercrosses, I think he does the same thing too, RV, but here it just really caters to his riding style. Like you said, he loves blasting the corners, and how similar it was. I was surprised to hear him say, though, how it was similar to what he what he rides on in Colorado.
I think to your point is maybe not the actual dirt itself, like mirroring what he grew up on, but the riding style that he grew up riding, in Colorado, blasting those berms, carrying lots of speed around the outsides, not always just running those insides. Sure, Daytona, as we saw, lots of options in different turns to be able to go right around the inside, which isn't a typical thing for Supercross, right? We always go to the berm 9 times out of 10. But then the ones that want to take the longer route got to go to that 3 to 5 miles an hour quicker, because you're adding distance to the track. But they have those berms, just like what they would have, or what John would build at his home track. And yeah, it promotes, railing, berm blasting, and I think he's one of the best at doing it.
Yeah, I love what you said too. As far as him on that Red Bull KTM, now we've seen him in these conditions, which I don't want to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure that you knew that he was going to perform well here, and the bike is going to perform well here. But I mean, it's pretty impressive. I think that bike has handled well for him in all conditions, whether it be hard pack, whether it be ruddy, whether it be soft. And I think his bike and bike performance is certainly well balanced and well versed for all conditions, I think.
And RC, let's clear. I want to clarify that a little bit. I guarantee you, he's come to some of these races and he hasn't felt 100% comfortable. He is the rider, like a lot of them that are out there, but also that learn to ride around issues and utilize the motorcycle where it is good, and maximize where it is good, maximize how good you can be there, and then maybe where it has a chink in the armor, you got to ride around that, and I think that's, guaranteed. He hasn't, up until Daytona, he hasn't gone to every single round and been like, dude, this thing, I'm just speaking for myself. I haven't asked Eli this, but as you got to ride around those issues if there is any. And I guarantee you, it hasn't been just peaches and creams the whole up until this point, right? He's definitely been exposed a few places, but he's that good and knows that he's got to ride around those the issues with areas, and be extra good where the bike is good.
Yep. I 100% agree with you. It gets back to, like we talked the last couple of weeks, of sometimes you just got to ride the damn thing. It's not always going to be perfect. And I agree with you 100%. Last, before we go to a quick break into the Dunlop debate, dude, he's got 57 wins. And I mean, listen, I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know. And of course, everything is possible. Like, do you think he gets to, what do you think it'll take, I should say, other than wins. Do you think he can get to 72 Supercross wins, and what will it take, and how does he do that?
I mean, on his trajectory right now, I think how long is he going to race? I think that's the biggest question, right? As we sit here and look at how this first part of the season is gone for 2026, you could say that he's got a couple more years in him, for sure. Just from a performance standpoint, he's still able to win. As we're looking at the 450 points right now, 170. Eli's 1 point down, and then Kenny's 20, and then it really starts to spread out. So we got a two-man race. But yeah, how long does he race is the biggest question. And if he does race for, say, 3 more years, and he has the success that he's shown already in 2026, I think it could be damn close to get into that 72. Have to think that you'd have to at least have 4 to 6 wins
15
per year.
Yeah, he needs 15, so he's got to go 5. So if he went 5 more this year, which is possible, he's already got 4 out of the first half.
Yeah, so 2 to 3 years, with the way he's been winning, it's very achievable if he sticks around with us to stay racing.
Yeah, you're right. Well said. Dude, what did you think of we couldn't get off of Eli. What about the old tooth, dude?
Oh man, that's such a bummer. That's, as the ones watch on YouTube, grabs the Daytona trophy, and if you've ever set your hands on the Daytona trophy, I know you have some RC. I have, I think, 3 or 4 of those. They're not a light trophy by no means. And he grabbed as you can see, the motorcycle there, and it breaks off and just busts him in the mouth.
Oh, there it is coming out.
And broke his main, his big tooth, which is such a bummer. I'd rather break a bone than go to the dentist.
Oh, dude, right? Like what I was thinking too, how bad would it suck if not only, he chipped it clearly, but what if it jammed his tooth up into his root canal or something, or the cavity?
Yeah, that sucks, man. That's not. I guess he'll be in the dentist, and they'll fix him up for this next week.
That's right.
That's put it this way. That's a total shitty situation.
It is. Damn, Eli. Hate it for you, bud. But congratulations. All right, dude. We're going to pay some bills real quick. And we're going to come back with the Dunlop debate. We're going to break down the rest of the 450 class and the contenders, Hunter and a couple of the other guys. So give us a couple minutes. We'll be back with you. Welcome back to Title 24, RV and RC coming at you. Like we've been telling you, go to 511. 511's doing a raffle. You can win a Triumph TF 450 RC edition. Head over to 511tactical.com/Supercross. Enter to win. I actually rode that bike in the holeshot challenge this week, so it will be a race. I wouldn't say worn, but I've ridden that bike. So go over to 511 and check it out. All right, so let's break down the as far as the Dunlop debate goes. Saw a lot of scoop tires this weekend. I should have used the scoop tire in the holeshot king, but dude, you talked about it a little bit. RV, Hunter was really impressive. It wasn't a straight beat down.
No, it was not. I thought Hunter kept Eli honest, which, I think if you're, like I said before earlier in the show, if you're betting against Eli at Daytona, I think that's a stupid move. But Hunter kept it honest, kept Eli honest. I thought it wasn't a complete runaway. So I think that in their eyes, going to Eli's house, let's call it, I think that was a win for Hunter and Team Honda to be that close. Like we saw, we have a 1 point gap in between Eli and Hunter, and then it's a pretty big gap after that, right? So it's two horse race right now. So I mean, Hunter rode phenomenal. I think that's what you could ask for, or everything you could ask for in Hunter's shoes going to Daytona. Sure, I know, if he could have won at Daytona, how upsetting that would have been to Eli's confidence wise. But that's a hard one to do at Daytona when Eli has a track record that he does have leading in there. So I think it was a win on Hunter's side.
That's what I was going to ask you, like breaking it down here. And like, do you feel like, I mean, it's almost a formality for Eli to win. Like he's expected to win. Like you were expected to win here. I was expected to win here. And again, Eli expecting to win here. So like as he wins, you're like, okay, yeah, it's awesome. He's got his 8th win, but you kind of think that, like you talked about, you're a clown if you bet against him. But do you feel like how Hunter rode and how well he did, do you think it is almost more impressive than Eli winning?
Look, I think to go 8,
yeah,
that's a league in its own, right? So can't take anything away from Eli winning, but I think it was impressive, equally as impressive for Hunter to stay as close, right? Because we've seen races at Daytona in the past with Eli where it's been 15-20 second gaps on second place, almost a minute on, say, 5th, 6th, 8th, 10th, so the gap was much smaller than we've seen in the past. So I think that was, like I said, a win on both sides. Impressive on Eli's side, but also I think a feather in Hunter's cap also to stay as close as he did and to ride as well as he did in that situation.
As far as the championship goes, Coop was 3rd, and Joey was 5th. Let's see here. We had Eli, Hunter, Ken, Coop, and then Joey. As far as the championship, there's championship points. You got Ken and Coop at 20 back. You got Eli's 1 back. With 7 more rounds to go, where are you at as far as the championship? I know Kenny and I know Coop are right there. They still mathematically are in the game. Who do you give the driver's seat to, and who do you think is the biggest challenge, the 2 challengers right now?
Well, I put Eli in the driver's seat because of the experience and that he has won this championship, multiple times. So I put Eli in the driver's seat, and as for me, Hunter, he hasn't been in this situation. He hasn't won a Supercross championship before, so potentially he could potentially be exposed when really the pressure really gets on, if our points stay where they're at, and we have this 2-man dogfight race to the end. But as for like Coop, 20 points down, Kenny 20 points down, don't get me wrong, those guys are very, very impressive and very, very good, but they're not on, neither of those 2 are on the level that Hunter and Eli are currently. And also consistency. I don't think Hunter has been worse than 4th this year. And as you know, that's huge to, that's why he's got 1 win on the season, but he's leading the points right now by 1. And that all comes down to his consistency, right? So, Coop's going to have to turn it on. I think you said there's seven rounds left.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, we'll wake up. We'll be 3 to 4 rounds from the end. And at that point, you're sitting 20 points down, 25 points down, or whatever it is. It's not mathematically over, but it's
it's over, dude. If you're racing championship, I'll go
exactly.
It's over unless you DNF or you break yourself off. It's over.
Exactly. So that's a tough spot to be in. I think, taking nothing away from Coop, I don't think he's been as super impressive this year. I've seen lots of after the main events of him sitting on the tough blocks or sitting on the berms, running that race back through his head and probably thinking about where he made the mistakes at, or where he should have been better at. More, I've seen that more this year than I have in the past, of him trying to, figure out how to bridge that gap to those two front runners.
Right. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a dogfight. Hunter has been very impressive. I think I don't know that he's faster than Eli. I think Eli can edge him out just a little, but like you talked about, Hunter has been so incredibly consistent, and maybe this is the year that it happens, that consistency will trump race wins. And again, I just, I can make a fair argument, just like you could for Hunter. I can make a fair argument for Eli, and really I don't know who's going to win. It's just that close, and it's just going to come down to the guy who can get those good starts every single weekend and stay out of harm's way. I think is going to be the one who's the champ. That's what I believe. All right, move along. So some fun stuff here. RV, you saw the call from Cardo. We were cardoed up, all of us, which is awesome. We got some killer sound bites. It was a lot of fun. The holeshot king. It was a wild one. It was raining, everything. It was. I got served up an L by MC. I went out on the first bracket. It was close, but not close enough, dude. Not close enough. I need to work on my attitude a little bit, dude. Like on this thing. Like I got my ass kicked, but I really didn't care if I won or I lost. I was just kind of there for the atmosphere. And after it, like the next morning, like Saturday morning before I came over to the stadium, I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, that's kind of pathetic, not only for myself personally, and I owe it to myself to take it a little more serious, but to my partners and to the fans. The fans were absolutely awesome, sitting there in the freaking pouring down rain. But it was fun, dude. Axel put it to everybody. Not a surprise. That dude is super skilled. So great job, Axel. But what'd you think about freaking 6-time Stanton? How's that, bro?
Yeah, man. It was. I got to see a lot of bits and pieces of the footage. Yeah, on the social side, and Stanton was good. Travis, Pastrana, and then MC and Pastrana racing the the 500s. MC on his Cowie, and Travis on RMzilla. No, it looked like a hell of a time. I was bummed I missed it. The weather, the rain added another element to it big time. As I saw you guys relieving the grates. That's the beauty of it. No starting devices. You're allowed to use blocks, obviously for us shorties. And then you had the rain inside of that in the grass, which obviously, as you know, makes it very, very slippery, and getting that traction down to the ground was tough. Where typically, without the rain, and the grass might have been a little slipperier than dirt, but when we did it at Ironman, for example, at Motocross of Nations, man, we all had a hell of a time not wheeling. So I think that kind of was a little out of the window when obviously with the rain and the grass and being slippery. But yeah, it just looked like that's a really cool event for all of us to be able to come out and do that. And the guys that don't ride very often, right? Like me, you, everybody that lined up there, it's not what we currently do anymore, 3-4 days a week anymore. So to get us all out there in front of the fans and try to see who's got the bragging rights at the end. And it's a really cool event.
Yeah. Dude, the last time I was on a dirt bike was the last time you and I, when we did the holeshot king Motocross of Nations friggin' 6 months ago. So I think the next one might be in Nashville. So hopefully, I'm invited back. Hopefully you'll be able to make it. And I don't know, I'll work on it a little bit more, but thanks MC. It's a hell of an event. And of course, Monster backing it and the fans, dude. Thanks for pulling up, dude. It was absolutely pouring. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Switch gears to the 250 class, we're going to have the Guts Hot Seat of the week. That's a new fun little segment. We kind of switched it up. It's not the moment of the week. So we're going to break down that here in a few minutes, and we'll be right back with you. Welcome back to Title 24, final segment of the show here. Man, it's flying by. Before we get into the Guts Hot Seat segment, let's talk about a dude that I think he had a breakout weekend going, even though he didn't finish. Yep. I still feel like it was a breakout. And that fastest qualifier in the 250, Drew Adams aboard that Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Great weekend for Mitch and company over there, as well as Hammaker. But we got a soundbite from Anton, and it's Drew basically explaining what happened, what went down. So, Aaron, if you could roll that, let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, it was a small mistake in the whoop section, just past halfway in the main event. Just kind of hit a little edge, and it's around to the power tower this weekend. It doesn't get the best traction in the whoop. So, yeah, it was a very small, stupid mistake, but a lot of positives to take from the day. Got my first fastest qualifier in Supercross and my first heat race win. So I don't want to get too down on myself. It's just a small setback.
I like that you're thinking that way because I know everybody on your team would be thinking that way too. What has Mitch thought about the progress of the day?
Yeah, he was super stoked today. Obviously, nobody wanted the main event to end like that, but as of talking with the team and stuff, it was all positives from the day. I don't want to get too sad about myself and just keep moving forward.
All right, still early. I mean, the accident just happened, but any prognosis on what it is and how long?
Well, it's just a fracture break in the thumb. That's all I know right now. I'm going to get a clear MRI this week and let you guys know from there.
Oh, dude, I didn't know.
Neither did I. I thought I just thought it was a crash, maybe just sore. Yeah, I agree that it was a breakout weekend for him, to be fastest qualifier and then win your heat race and then have a main event going like he had was huge for Drew. Young, hasn't been in the Supercross, hasn't been doing it for a very long time. So those are those weekends you need in his, any one of those rookie, kind of positions is to build that confidence and know you can run up there. And, he trains with I believe with Hunter and Jet.
Yeah, he does. And Seth. And yep. Seth, that's his training partner. Yep.
Yep. So that's a total bummer. I did not know that until just now watching that he's got a little fracture in the thumb. Definitely not what I was expecting to hear or wanted to hear. And same with him, obviously. Yeah. Or the team, because that would have been a hell of a weekend to build off of, even though he went down and didn't, finish the main. Just thinking, say 24 hours ago, okay, it's got some major positives to build off of, but now, that thumb's going to set him back a few weeks at minimum, and he's not going to be on the bike and not going to be racing, which is where he needs to be to keep that confidence, building and growing.
Yeah. The only, I guess, I don't even know if you call it silver lining, but is if he can't go next week, he gets a weekend off after that before they go to Birmingham. So that'll be helpful. It's never ideal to have a little injury like that, but at least he won't miss too much race time, which is important. But hey, massive shout out. Thanks, Anton, for that great soundbite. Also, go over to Motorsports on NBC's YouTube page. And a lot of the stuff that we don't show on here just for time purposes and stuff, there's some sound bites from a lot of the riders. So I think it'd be cool for you guys, all that stuff that Anton gets. Again, go over to Motorsports and NBC's YouTube page and you get some more behind the scenes. It's pretty cool. All right. So, dude, really stoked about this. We're going to pivot for the Guts. It's not the Guts moment of the week anymore. It's Guts Hot Seat. And it's interesting because I want to get what you have to say and what you would think as far as the hot seat goes. So each week we're going to look at riders and which seat is the hottest and who wants to jump on and ride that moment for who is on the hot seat and who should be worried. And I think this week we picked Seth Hammaker or Cole Davies. Like, who do you think's on that Guts hot seat?
Look, Cole's been riding phenomenal. The talent levels there. When you watch him ride, he's a, like kind of a pretty rider when he rides the motorcycle. Very technically sound.
Yep.
But I think right now, Seth having the day that he had, obviously went down pretty hard in, I think, one of the time qualifying practice. I don't remember if it was one or two time qualifying session, but hit the deck pretty hard, but was able to rebound and get that win at Daytona. So, the experience is huge for, compared to like Cole. Cole raced last year, but then had a big elbow injury that kept him out of racing for quite a while.
Yeah, Salt Lake.
At Salt Lake. Yeah. So Seth's, call it a veteran in this class. So I would love to see, Kawasaki, Pro Circuit Kawasaki, stay in this position and win a championship. It's been many years since
Justin Hill, right?
I want to say that's probably correct. Yes, that the last time that they have won a championship, right? So I think Seth's sitting in a great position right now. Speed's there. Like that's one thing that he's definitely worked on in the past is his speed. So he's got the speed now. Fitness is there. As you know, Daytona, you can't win Daytona without being fit because it's a tough track, tough race. So
yeah, I think Cole Davies is on the Guts hot seat. I think we've all had a ton of expectations for him based on how well he did last year. Listen, I still think he's probably one of the best guys from a bike skill level and riding style level. I think there's other guys that work just as hard as him and have a great shot to win. But I think the expectation definitely for me hasn't been met. He did go down in the first corner at Arlington, and he comes up a little short on the dub this week. Seth rode a hell of a race, so I think for me he's on the hot seat because of those reasons. I think he's going to have his time, but I thought he would have gotten the win by now. And you watch him, and he's just so fast. But
I think just what I can see from the broadcast is where he's being exposed right now is a bit of on his starts. Got to put himself in a better position, because I think as soon as he gets a hole shot, I think it's his race to lose at that point.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think if he gets a hole shot, runs up front, he's got the best chance to win. Yeah. Dude, speaking of that, so 8 points separates the top five in the 250 East, and all finish in the top five. Dude, it's pretty wild. So you got Pierce Brown, Hammaker wins Daytona, Shimoda finished fourth after he crashed, and there's the points.
Yeah,
right there. I mean, it's tight, dude. The first five. It's a lot of fun. Was there any surprises from you this weekend in the 250 class? Like, I thought Pierce rode well. I thought that Joe. Myself personally, I thought Joe looked way better than he did last week as far as on the bike. Like, I thought he was way more aggressive. But was there anything?
Yeah, I think, watching Joe when Joe went down, just, that's something that sticks in my head. Maybe just like I just mentioned, Daytona being a pretty taxing track. And we know that Joe hadn't been on the bike for a very long, couple days, if that, before coming out round one. And then leading into Daytona here, obviously, that crash looked like totally avoidable. In the standpoint of maybe a little bit of fitness, right? Like I just getting lazy. I thought I heard somebody say, it might have been you, somebody in the broadcast, that like they saw on the pit board, like, stand up more. So that's a little interesting, right? Now, I guess I shouldn't say interesting, par for the course, being not on the motorcycle enough. And that's what he would for sure be lacking, because the fitness off the motorcycle is probably there, from the gym aspect, from the road bike, from that side of the fitness side is probably there, but you can't replace the seat time on the motorcycle for that fitness. And there's only one way to do that, and that's riding. He ended up going down, but still points are super close, top five. I think Dax is sitting fifth.
Yeah, he is.
Points. And yeah, it's completely opposite of the West. That's for sure.
It is. It'll be interesting. Indy. That's always a great race. I used to love racing Indy RV. It was so much fun. The fans are epic. Normally they have a good crowd there. The dirt is always a factor there. Some years it's been super ruddy. Most of the time it is that way up there. But then there's been certain years where it wasn't as ruddy as I thought that it would be. But getting back to the regular stadium, I think we'll be able to see some of the riders' true colors and their position. And again, dude, they're only 2 races in, so still a lot of jockeying for position, and everyone, in my opinion, trying to find their position. Yeah. So yeah. I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. As far as Daytona and the track, I thought that, I thought we crushed it. We got super lucky on the design. Obviously, there's a lot of thought process that goes on it, but we left it somewhat, I wouldn't call it basic, but just not a lot of obstacles in there compared to what we normally do. And
I thought it raced really well. I loved a lot of the some of the turns that were a little bit off camber, but then they put the berms on the outside, so guys could go inside, guys could go outside. If you went outside, I know particular there's one section where you do the double off.
Yeah.
I think that's where Cole ended up passing Pierce.
Yeah.
In the main, that was very close in like time wise. Maybe the outside was a little bit better. Certain laps, as the track broke down, maybe inside got deep. So yeah, I thought the track raced. I think it was actually one of my favorite, watching it from the broadcast, one of my favorite race tracks of Daytona, just because of how well it raced. Lots of passing points on the track, and it got rough and it got ruddy. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was a hell of a track.
Did you like the split lane before the finish?
I did. Yeah. And that worked both directions, right? Or,
yeah, it did. Like insides were good. Like at certain points of the race, the outside line on the left there before the finish line, that got a little pushed out towards the end of the race, because of the sand going away. I thought it worked out well. But it's the freaking craziest thing, dude, is we could do that same design next year and it probably wouldn't work worth a damn.
That's the beauty of it, right? Like you can exact same track. Hey,
before we get to quad lot question of the week, a quick fan question. Do you think it'd be cool to have an East-West showdown here at Daytona, or what?
I think that would be. I think a Triple Crown or East-West shootout.
Really?
I think an East-West shootout would be really cool there. Getting the East and the West together at Daytona
for sure.
would be something special at Daytona for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be down with a Triple Crown. And listen, I love Triple Crowns. We got a Triple Crown coming up at Indy this weekend. I love the Triple Crowns. I just don't know, because the history of Daytona and just how special this race, like the heritage of it, I don't know if I'd want to have a Triple Crown here for that reason, but I do think East-West would be badass.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be good. Imagine Deegs lining up this past weekend and the
well, I saw him there, riding the 450. We're coming out. We're getting that clicks. We're making that clickbait. I thought,
you saw that?
Yeah, I thought maybe we were going to see him on the big bike, the 450.
Yeah, right. All right, so moving along here, quad lock question of the week. The winner this week is Rap 625 Cody. Congratulations, Cody. You win the quad lock question of the week. Pretty good question here. I have my opinion on it, why they wouldn't, or why I don't think they should, or not think they should, but why they probably won't. So Rap 625 Cody asks, what do you think of SMX Next being 125 two-strokes? It would force the manufacturers to put more R&D into the 125s, but I would also slow down the class. It would also slow down the class and prevent injuries in the learning stage. The jump from minis to 250s is way bigger than minis to 125s. Take it away, RV.
Yeah, he's correct there. The jump from
Yeah.
minis to 125 is a lot smaller.
Mhm.
I think that some of that's correct, some of it's not. And what I mean by correct is yes, the bikes are slower. Um, and I think the transition from, like, say, an 85 or super mini to a 125 would be a better thing. Number one problem is there's only about three manufacturers, or two manufacturers roughly, right? Austrian brand
Yep.
and the Yamaha that make 125. So all the other manufacturers don't even offer that. So to have them redevelop a 125 is really, really far fetched. Probably is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then also too, from a safety perspective, our
Yeah.
tracks now, if you were to stick a 125 out there on our tracks, our Supercross tracks, or Daytona, for example, I think that's a recipe for disaster because of how slow those bikes are. Jumping the full size triples and the rhythm sections and things like that. I think it would be very hard for them to jump those. And the guys that were to be able to pull it off or try to pull it off, casing those jumps on a 125, just because they're so down on power compared to a 250F. You could say you'd see a lot of crashes because they would be trying to send it and jump things that maybe that you kind of can't on a 125. We would have to change some of the lengths of some of those triples and some of those jumps out of the turns. And then on the other hand, you could say, oh, well, don't do it because the bike's too slow. Okay,
Yeah.
well then you can have a lot of guys rolling everything, and that's no good from the viewer's perspective. Was watching a bunch of kids go around rolling everything. So
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, like about the tracks, like what you're saying. And now you being at the amateurs, a lot more racing with the kiddos, like you're probably exposed to that. So that's a really, really good point. Outside of, I mean, you made great points about the business stuff. I agree. Like I would love to see the speeds slowed down for sure. From a safety standpoint, 100% Cody. But like RV said, there's just not, the ROI and the business model, unfortunately, it doesn't make sense for those manufacturers. And RV said it perfect. But I liked what you said also, RV, about, I didn't think about the tracks. They're more tailored to the four strokes and how much.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to tailor just what your RCSX right now, right,
Yeah.
from the side. That would be more driven towards like a 125. Like you guys shorten the jumps down a little bit. You make safety decks. You take the takeoffs and you push them out a little bit so they're not as steep. So you don't go as high. You go a little bit farther. There would be some things that I think that you would have to do. And they race on the same night as the big dogs, and that's physically not possible to do that throughout the night.
Yeah, good stuff, RV. Cody, congratulations. The process. You listen to us. JH has probably already reached out to you. So enjoy your Quad Lock swag. Make sure you comment on there. I have no doubt that you'll be stoked on their product. They make incredible stuff. So and a whole bunch of things, whether for motorcycles, anything off-road, super handy. For this weekend, Motorsports on NBC. So we're going to Indy. We already talked about. I love that place. Race day live, 1 p.m. That'll be live on Peacock, and then the gate drop is at 7 p.m. These are all Eastern times. Triple Crown format, so make sure you head over to Peacock for that, and then of course the post race show is followed right after the main show. That's presented by Bass Pro. So that's what we got cracking. I'm gonna touch really quick before we say goodbye. That 450 championship. I feel like, and I may have said this on the broadcast or even here, RV. It's so close, and Hunter has been so consistent. I just feel like the guy who doesn't mess up who doesn't fumble is going to be the guy who wins over the guy who just goes out and say Ryder goes and wins the next 3 rounds, but then coughs up a 12th. I just think it's the dude who's going to be able to be picture perfect throughout the rest of the season. That's who I think is going to win. And I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if it's Eli, and I don't know if it's Hunter, but I just think as far as the thought process of who's going to win this championship, it's going to be the dude who maybe not necessarily wins the most, but the guy who is the most consistent.
Yep, I would agree with that. As we know, we're coming into quite a few open stadiums towards the latter part of this 26 SMX championship, right? So that's another factor, right? Regardless of riders being consistent, we have a little bit.
I didn't think of that. Yeah.
We have weather that potentially could throw, a curveball for these guys. And as you know, like you just said, coughing up points.
Yeah,
that's a very, very easy situation to cough up, points when we have weather involved. Yeah. And, we don't know, obviously nobody has, like you said, nobody has a crystal ball to know what's going to happen with weather and things like that, but that's all part of the sport. Right. So, it's going to be interesting to see if we do get a questionable night when it comes to weather and how that affects and who can be consistent in those situations.
You're right. I mean, crossing the T's and dotting the I's are going to be certainly heightened, just like you said, especially if weather plays a part. And because now getting long in the series, you just don't have any more races to dig yourself out of any deficit that you possibly could dig yourself into. So great stuff, RV. Well, dude, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to get back. Thanks to all of our great partners, Dunlop, Boxo, Guts, Quadlock, Ricardo. You guys are the best. Hopefully you guys like that little tweak that we did to the Guts hot seat. I'm looking forward to doing that. Remember, you can listen to us on all of the podcast applications, and of course Motorsports on NBC's YouTube page. I hope Gage has a great week. I'm going to go out here for opening ceremonies. We're about to get the main events popping off here, and that's it.
Awesome.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports. If you enjoyed what you just watched, well, it's time to bring the action and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. You can have it all: news, highlights, interviews, and analysis. So go for it.